Casey, welcome. We're talking about TikTok, but we could be talking about anything. I mean, how do we know who's accessing data from various companies and putting together massive dossiers on U.S. citizens?
That's exactly right, John. You know, you think about all the sensitive data that these tech companies know about us, and there are almost no national laws regulating how they use that data, right? There are these giant data brokers companies that can just buy up essentially whatever they want to know about us and use it however they like. So I think there's a lot of appropriate attention right now on TikTok and, you know, what the Chinese government may or may not have access to. But until we have some sort of national privacy law, every tech company is going to find itself in this situation at some point.
Well, not only a national privacy law, but doesn't there have to be a way of auditing this in some way? I mean, it's one thing to say you can't share data on U.S. citizens outside of U.S. soil, but how do you check and make sure?
That's right. It's really complicated. You know, if an American citizen is having a conversation with a Chinese citizen on TikTok, who owns that data? Is that American data? Is that Chinese data? And so there are going to have to be some sort of audit trails, essentially, so that the government can check these tech companies' work and not just have to take their word for it.
Casey, as you've been talking about, it is so hard to understand who is accessing data, and that is why Huawei, another Chinese company, cannot sell 5G equipment to the major carriers or even in some countries as a whole. Should the same rules have been applied to TikTok much earlier, say not letting it be allowed to be listed in the Apple or Google app stores, is it too late now to put that genie back in the bottle?
Well, you know, President Biden said earlier this year that he was going to conduct a review of a larger number of Chinese companies, TikTok included, and try to set some sort of ground rules. You know, I think this is a complicated one and reasonable people will disagree. But look, what the critics say at the end of the day is right. It's going to be extremely hard, probably impossible, for ByteDance, TikTok's owner, to reject a request from the Chinese government if and when the time came. Now, they will tell you up and down that they absolutely never would. Practically, though, it's really difficult to understand how they would resist. And for that reason, I think a lot of people have some legitimate concerns here.
Yeah, even if you take them off the app stores now, their popularity is so widespread that people are going to use VPNs to get around it, just like the Chinese do to access some American apps. But Casey, do you think at least that the groundwork is being laid now so that maybe the next popular Chinese app will have more trouble gaining traction? I mean, TikTok has really been the first and only one to become so popular. Do you think it could happen again, or will sort of measures being put in place now prevent that?
You know, it's a great question. For the moment, it does seem like it's a one-off. And after TikTok really took off, China undertook a massive crackdown on its tech sector, as you know, which I think is probably making it a lot less attractive of a place to build a new app like TikTok. All that said, though, the regulations in the United States really haven't changed at all. So if there were some entrepreneur in China who wanted to create a new social app and launch it here, they wouldn't really face much pushback, at least at the jump.
Now, all this being said, Casey, this week there was this massive trove of data on Chinese users that was exposed. And I'm not sure that it wasn't like it was a U.S. company that had sucked up this data or anything. Are we paying too much attention to the obvious thing? Obvious big Chinese company that potentially has data on U.S. citizens. We wouldn't want the Chinese to get their hands on that. But there are plenty of other data troves that are not being protected well enough that if you're China, sure, maybe focus on TikTok over here. Meanwhile, we can get what we want elsewhere because the data policies in the U.S. are not tight enough.
That's exactly right. And it's clear that there are, multiple ongoing operations coming from China to the United States. You know, the FBI issued a warning last night about the use of this new Maui ransomware that's out there. So, clearly the cyberspace is extremely hot right now for these kind of, influence operations and other attacks. And so, let's hope our lawmakers and regulators are paying close attention here.
Casey Newton, thank you.